I just did a Muay Thai class and then I tried going straight to Jiu-Jitsu. Lasted half the class. I felt like I was going to go throw up, even though I haven't eaten since 5 p.m. yesterday. Hey folks, welcome. If this is your first time here, my name is Belal Khan and you're watching the StrengthDojo. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever there's new videos. Now, on to this question that I got from a buddy of mine. And now the thing is, he and I, we've engaged quite a bit over the last few years. And one of the things that he's been wanting to do, and one of the things that he felt comfortable in, was essentially eating one, maybe 2 meals a day in order to maintain his caloric deficit. Now, here's the challenge, right? If you're not doing any activity, being able to eat 1 to 2 meals a day can be effective. The challenge comes into play is when your lack of consumption of food, or the timing of the consumption of food in relation to whatever activity that you're going to be doing. If you're not giving yourself enough fuel, then you're not going to be able to perform the activity to the best ability that you can to further effectively not only excel in the sport, to excel in the strength activity, to excel in your health and wellness, if the lack of fuel isn't able to get you as far as you want to go. Starving yourself is not the appropriate answer. So now, one of the things to keep in mind is this. If you're gonna go train on an empty stomach without the appropriate fuel, then one of the challenges that you're gonna run into is the equivalent of trying to not simply drive with your gas light on, meaning you have very little fuel left, but it's like trying to do a drag race with your gas light on, very little fuel left. You're not gonna get far. The other thing to also understand, when it comes to your own ability to perform, generally people who are untrained, or even if you are trained, right, you tend to have about 90 minutes of glycogen stores within your body, within your cells, within your muscles. So if you go in to train, even on an empty stomach, if you go in to train, you might last about an hour and a half. Now, what happens after an hour and a half? Well, you could physically burn out. So how do you get around that? How do you get over that bonk? Well, this is where you have to time your nutrition appropriately. If you consume food around the activity, then you'll be able to perform. Usually a good number to be able to perform in terms of food consumption and activity. A good number tends to be about 2.5 to 3 hours before the activity. So if you're going to go to a class at 12 p.m., i.e. a lunchtime class, then make sure that you've eaten around maybe 9 a.m. So 9, 10, 11, 12. So that gives you about 3 hours for you to have access to that food. So not only will you have the appropriate glycogen stores, but you will have the energy to be able to perform beyond those 90 minutes or so. Now, if you want to be able to continue beyond those 90 minutes, you're basically entering into the endurance realm, because now it's not strength training for sure. You're doing Muay Thai, you're doing Jiu-Jitsu, you're not strength training. That in of itself is a intense cardiovascular activity. And so you need to approach it in the same mindset, in the same mentality. So something to think about, right? Whenever I've gone endurance cycling, right? I've gone, riding 100 miles a day type of rides for multiple days. Within those 100-mile days, there's you gotta feed yourself. You gotta put nutrition into your body at every so many intervals, because if you don't, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna burn out. I mean, so plain and simple, you're gonna physically burn out, and you're not gonna be able to complete the ride. Now, here's a funny and interesting thing: is your body has a natural ability to restore the glycogen stores regardless of whether or not you have eaten. Now, granted, if you continue to do this over time, you're just gonna it's not gonna be positive for your body. You're gonna weaken yourself. But generally speaking, if you go, let's say you work out, you go an hour, you go 90 minutes, totally physically burn out, you rest for an hour or two, your body will naturally restore all those glycogen stores, and you can go again. But if you want to be able to do 2 hours, 3 hours at a time, then you have to give your body fuel and hydration as you're doing the activity. And so sometimes people will take some sort of intra-workout nutrition, right? Personally, the thing that has worked really well for me, whether it's long-term cycling or it's multi-session training within martial arts, the thing that tends to work really well are dates. Dates are a superfood, straight up. And on top of that, add some honey water with lemon, and then you'll be good to go, right? And also make sure you sprinkle a little bit of salt in there too, to facilitate the water absorption. You'll give yourself the appropriate electrolytes, prevent yourself from cramping up. So, and the honey in there is just extra carbs as well as electrolytes to give you some energy while you're doing your thing. Sometimes I also like to keep a protein bar, like a Quest or a Oh Yeah One bar. Might eat half of it in between sessions, right? So let's say I'm doing an hour of Jiu-Jitsu training, specific training, technical training class, and then we have specific training, and you kind of burnt out. I'll take a 5-minute break. The first, and then after an hour, I'll take a 5-minute break. I will eat half a protein bar, maybe a half a bottle of water, and then I'll get into live training. And after every 15-20 minutes or so, I might take another bite of the protein bar and another half a bottle of the water, the spiked water, spiked with honey, lime, and salt. So this would allow you to continue to be able to engage in the activity that you want to engage in for a longer period of time. Because if you don't, you will literally burn out. And you don't want to burn out. You want to be able to do the activity for as long as possible. So that's the key thing to keep in mind. You want to fuel your activity. If you don't fuel your activity, then what's the point, right? I mean, you want to lose weight, you want to build muscle. Oh, and a final point is that don't take the idea of all this extra sports activity and this cardiovascular activity and this intense interval training type of activity as a substitute for strength training. You have to strength train. Strength training is the thing that will help you build muscle, increase your metabolism. If you want to lose, if you want to, burn fat, gain muscle, recompose your body, look healthy, look fit, and feel healthy, feel energetic, that has to be there. And strength training will also help you prevent injury. So that has to be there as part of your thing. Even if you're doing it at least once a week, it's got to be there. Because a lot of this intense cardiovascular activity, if you don't strength train, then what's going to happen is you're burning fat, you're also burning muscle, because your body is doing its darnest. It's doing its best to be as efficient, lean, and effective as possible. And so even any extra muscle weight is going to let go, and sometimes going to let go more. And so in order for you to keep up with the demands of the sport and the demands that are coming with the activity that you're engaged in, then you want to make sure that you're keeping up with your strength training. So let's summarize this. In summary, the thing that you want to make sure of is that you're feeding yourself around the activity, or vice versa, you're doing the activity around your feeding, right? If let's say you're eating once a day, let's say you're eating at 5 p.m., okay? And that's it. Let's say you're engaged in intermittent fasting. You eat at 5 p.m., you don't eat anything, you go for a 12 p.m. class, and you still don't eat anything, you are going to feel like garbage, guaranteed. And your performance in the activity is gonna require nothing but willpower for you to get through it, right? So you want to make sure now, but keep in mind, if you have a 1 meal a day kind of activity, or even a 2 meal a day, let's say you eat at 9 a.m. instead of 5 p.m., you do your activity, don't eat anything after that, you're still going to feel like garbage. So what I'm suggesting is, have your 9 a.m. meal for your 12 o'clock class. But then at the same time, have a recovery drink or a shake or some protein or something after the class. And then wait an hour or so and have an actual meal, right? And then maybe a snack later if you're trying to maintain a caloric deficit. But keep in mind, with all of this activity, you maintain a caloric deficit, you're going to feel like garbage. And so you gotta have that balance. Perhaps on the days that you are doing activity, you want to eat to your maintenance caloric amount, right? And the days that you're not doing the activity, that's where you go into the steep deficit. And that's how you're supposed to be doing intermittent fasting anyway. So this is something that to be cognizant of, right? To be aware of, so that you're able to progress in your fitness journey, in your martial arts journey, in your health and wellness. And so you just got to make sure that you're giving your body the fuel that it needs to do the activity. No fuel, no progress. Fuel your body, feel healthy, stay strong. I'll see you soon.